Welcome to today's episode of the J&J podcast. I'm Jamie,
This is Jameson.
and we want to welcome all of our listeners in for a special um, Final Four edition of the J&J podcast. And keep that number in mind, the number 4. The Final Four edition, obviously Final Four, because the men and women are now in the Final Four of the NCAA championship. But we'll expound a little bit more on the other 4 that I'm talking about. So, Jameson, why don't you kick us off? Let's start with the ladies first. The Final Four for the women. It's UConn versus UCLA and Texas versus South Carolina. Let's talk about your picks for those games and your thoughts about each matchup.
Yeah, when it comes to UConn playing against UCLA, I think that's really going to be honestly, I think it's going to be a very good game, but I'm going to give the slight edge to UConn. I just feel like it strictly boils down to Paige Beckers. The way she's been playing offensively the last couple of games, some of the shooting splits that she's putting up insane, like historic numbers at the collegiate level for women's basketball. And I feel like they just have a lot of momentum. Like both of their wins have been pretty seamless. They're well coached. Gino Auriemma, he's a legend when it comes to women's basketball. Um, and I'm not taking anything away from UCLA because I'm telling you now they're gonna have problems trying to defend Lauren Betts with her size for UCLA. But I just give the slight edge to UConn given their guard play. And I just really feel like Paige Becker is just going to have another phenomenal performance. So that's my pick in that UConn UCLA game.
Okay. I like it. I was able to watch Lauren Betts, and I was impressed.
Yeah.
I mean, I've watched her before, but I was really impressed because of how they were defending her and the fact that she was still able to be effective.
Yeah.
She did a lot more. I think what she's learning how to do is to pass the ball out of those double teams, to know where her teammates are. So it was quite impressive to see that.
Yeah.
But with all that said, Paige buckets Beckers. Man, what was it? 40 points? Not
Yeah.
this last game, but the game before.
Yeah.
40 points.
Career high in the women's championship turn. Like that's insane. Yeah, your
But she
career
broke
high.
her career high.
I know 40 is
Yeah, I think
outrageous. It was on insane efficiency. Efficiency, like she's shooting like over. It's I think I saw the number. It was like almost. She's averaging like 60% shooting from the field in her last 3 games, and she's put up 30 in her last 3 games. 30
yeah,
plus.
that's KD efficiency is what that
It's
was.
crazy.
And I mean, look, it's not like she's taking a ridiculous amount of shots, but the
Mm,
ones she's taking, she's making.
exactly.
So I have to agree with you. I like UConn in this one. It's simply because, Gino Auriemma, I don't necessarily bet against him much. He's been here before. It's just like when, we were talking about some of the games that were leading into um, March Madness and who the matchups were going to be. And so you and I started having conversation. I said, well, I'm gonna tell you, I like this one because they've been there before.
Yeah.
I like this one because they've been there before. And this, for me, I like UConn simply because Gino Auriemma has been there before. He knows how to adjust and when to adjust. And so to have with Paige Beckers on that team, I like UConn as well.
Me too.
All right, so moving on to the other Final Four matchup, it's Texas versus South Carolina, and I'm pretty sure we both know who we're both leaning towards.
Yeah.
But I want to get your input on that one.
Honestly, I'm a huge Don Staley fan. I'm rocking with the Gamecocks. I think South Carolina is going to win that game. Trust me, I don't think it's going to be easy because I think the advantage that Texas has is they're bigs and they just have a lot more size. So I feel like that is going to be a problem for South Carolina. And honestly, a lot of the games they've had problems in have been when they're not able to defend and protect the paint. So I feel like this is going to be a challenging game for them, like many of their other games so far have been throughout the tournament. But I just give them the edge. They just play really good team basketball. And honestly, it's like the way their team is set up, all they need is for one of them to get going, whether it be Chloe Kitts, Malaysia Fulwiley, even Tessa Johnson. Like, if she has it going from beyond the arc, it's like they're going to be very scary. But I feel like the X factors, believe it or not, going to be Raven Johnson. I think if she can have a good good performance offensively. I already know what she's going to bring from the defensive side of the basketball, but if she can have at least maybe 12 to 15 points, shoot officially, be able to knock down the open three, I give South Carolina the edge. So they're my pick for that game.
Yeah, so it's crazy because you and I didn't talk about this,
Yeah.
but Raven Johnson is actually my X factor because
Yeah.
Rory Harmon is the head of the snake. Like, she is a true point guard. She really gets the players involved for Texas. And I feel like Raven Johnson's going to have to, really get. Am I right about that? Isn't she the
Yeah,
point
she's
guard?
tough too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
she's
so,
tough.
yeah, that's right. Yeah. So Rory Harmon is the head of the snake. And from my perspective, she, if Raven Johnson is able to, um, to really defend her well, get her off course, that to me is going to be the way South Carolina wins. Now, granted, um, and I guess I want to say that there are two X factors because I think Fagan is the other. Like, with Watson being down, um, and she's really playing out of position. So their low post presence, she actually was the player of the game last game, and she only had 12 points. I think she had 12 points and 8 rebounds,
Yeah.
something like that, maybe 9 rebounds. They've lacked that. This
Yeah.
is not the same South Carolina team that has been dominant the last couple of years. It's just not
Yeah.
because of the injuries. Watson not being there, that matters. And so I think that Raven Johnson, to your point, has to have a good game offensively. And then coming off the bench, Fulwiley cannot be out of control.
Nope.
Um, she's got to play under control. She's got to play disciplined basketball. And I think if she's able to do that, and I think again, Raven Johnson is going to have to make things really, really difficult for Rory Harmon. If she does that, it's going to upset their offense altogether.
Yeah.
And
I
I
agree.
think that's going to be the difference in them getting to the championship again. Again, it hasn't been easy for them, but Don Staley makes the adjustments accordingly. I'll
Yeah.
say this real quick. I heard somebody because Full Wiley had like 20 points, and they were like, "Well, why didn't she play more?" And I said, "You know what?
She knows what she's
Because
doing, bruh.
she knows what she's doing. Those who weren't like, if you only saw the stat line and thought, well, why did she only play this amount of time? You had to have been watching the game to
It's
see.
all matchups too. And here's what I'll say to that. Look what happened the game she started trying to play her more. She was turning the ball over. She was playing out of control. It's like,
That's
don't
right.
know what she's doing, man.
That's right. Exactly. And that's what I was going to say. The reason why she didn't play as many minutes in that game was because at the beginning she was not playing good defense.
Yep.
And then Dawn put her back in and she was like, okay, let's see what you do. Now, if you play defense, lock up. Yeah, we needed you on the offensive end, but you can't just play one side of the ball.
Facts.
So Dawn Staley knows what she's doing.
That's why she's the GOAT.
That's why she's the GOAT.
Yep.
Absolutely. So my pick is absolutely South Carolina.
Yes,
It's
sir.
I think I made that kind of obvious.
Yeah.
So well, shifting over to the men's side, the Final Four is set, and let's just get it over with because there's a team in this Final Four that we're not fans of.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say it from the beginning. We're not fans of them. It is what it is, but they are quite scary right now.
Yeah, they are.
So let's start with Duke versus Houston. I know that's the second game, I think, in
Yeah.
order. But let's start with that one simply because I prefaced it with the team that I don't like.
Yes, sir. Honestly, here's what I'll say. I'll go and preface my pick by saying whoever wins this game is winning it all. That's how I look at it.
I don't
And
disagree.
and I know people are gonna be shocked by this, but it's like I picked them in my bracket group. I've said this weeks ago in the podcast. I'm still rocking with Houston. I feel like this is their year. And they've even talked about it. Kelvin Sampson right now is at 798 career wins. How fitting would it be for if he wins this next game in the Final Four? That's 799, and then if he wins the national championship, that would be 800 career wins. What a storybook ending that would
Wow.
be. But the reason why I give Houston the edge is they match up defensively and size wise with Duke. I feel like Duke has been able to exploit a lot of mismatches, and they have a clear advantage given their size of their roster. I feel like they're not going to be able to just sit around and bully Houston like that. And I'm gonna tell you this now. I've said this from the start. If Houston is knocking down perimeter shots and hitting threes, they're beating Duke.
It's a wrap.
I think it's a wrap. I think if they can contain Cooper Flag, like they can't allow Cooper Flag to have 30, like he did
Yeah.
a couple games ago. But if they can contain Cooper Flag and they knock down perimeter shots, they'll run away with that game. That's literally what they did against Tennessee this past Sunday. Like that game, it started off close for about the first 4 minutes. They started hitting threes, and you saw what happened for there was absolute manslaughter. So I genuinely think that if Houston come, because also what people got to realize is Houston's like a top 3 team in the country defensively. So you
Hmm.
combine that with also having the size, because their bigs are like really good bigs. They're mobile. They're also like they also control the glass. They also get a lot of offensive rebounds. So if they're controlling possession, getting more offensive rebounds, and those are leading to more perimeter threes, Lord have mercy, I think Houston can run away with this game. So they're my pick in this game. I'm not discounting Duke, but I just feel like how sometimes you just get that feeling. I feel like this is Kelvin Sampson's year. That's why I picked Houston from the start. But and like I said, even if they end up losing, whoever wins this game is probably going to be my pick for the national championship as well. But your thoughts?
Yeah. Yep. Nope. We are in agreement.
Yeah,
Unfortunately,
yeah,
and I'm saying unfortunately because if Duke were to win over Houston, then they would
yeah. They're
probably
winning it
be
all. Yeah.
they're winning it all.
Hmm.
I would agree with you. There are a couple of things from my perspective about Duke. They're rolling. There's no question. But one of the reasons why, and it's not even about Cooper Flag, it's about Proctor.
Yep.
Um, People have to pay attention. If Proctor has actually increased the level of his game during the NCAA tournament. He actually did it during the ACC tournament, and he's riding that same momentum and has sustained it since the ACC tournament. He's been the difference maker. But yeah, Cooper Flag scored 30. I mean, he scored 30 in that game. Caleb Love had 35. Proctor's the reason why they won the game,
Yep.
because he's been consistent. I think that Houston's guards can disrupt him and take him off his game. And I think if that were to happen, Duke is not the same team. Yes, they have other guys that can come in. They have other guys who fill in, the void in certain positions, but Proctor is the reason why Duke is winning. I know that Cooper Flag is great. I know that he's going to be the first pick in the draft. I get all that. But there are games where if Proctor's not playing well, none of those other things matter. So I really feel like Houston has the guards. They have the defensive prowess to actually take Proctor off of his game. And I think if that were to happen, because Jameson, you and I have talked about it, Houston looks like the college version of Golden State when
Yep.
they're hitting their threes,
Yeah, they don't
and
miss.
they don't miss. And that's the thing. They're not. See, listen, they're not Alabama. You know, Alabama makes their threes when they play Carolina and everybody else. But of course, when they play Duke, couldn't hit the side of a barn.
Yep.
Um,
Did you see what
see,
Emmanuel Sharp did on Sunday for them?
yes, I did.
He didn't.
Yes.
He missed his first couple, but when he started hitting, that brother was shooting from the parking lot.
Absolutely. Listen, this brother was open when he drove up.
That's a
Um,
senior facts.
Literally wide open the
Yep.
moment he stepped foot. The moment they drove into the building, I was like, "Well, y'all better put a
Like
hand in his
that. They
face."
were doing driving kicks, and this brother was shooting from the hash with confidence and was hitting.
Yes,
I'm like,
with ease.
if they're making those type of shots, that also frees up them being able to drive to the basket, and then it forces Duke to have to play more so out on the perimeter. They can't just sit in the zone the whole game. You know what I'm
That's right.
saying? So
Absolutely.
I give them the edge for real. I'm excited. That's gonna be honestly quiet as kept. That game is gonna be better probably than the national championship. Just the
I would agree.
atmosphere and the matchup wise.
Yes,
Hmm.
and but like you, yes, we are not Duke fans, but we agree that if
Yeah.
Duke were to win this game, that they're going to
You
be
got to
the
give credit where
champs.
credit is due. It's just like they're a
Yes,
scary team. It's like, but I think Houston can knock them out. Like I
I do.
said, yeah.
I do. I like Kevin Sampson and Kelvin. Sorry,
Yes, sir.
Kelvin
Yeah,
Sampson. I like Kelvin Sampson, and I really think Houston has a very good chance of winning that one.
me
So
too.
the other Final Four matchup for the men is Auburn versus Florida. Um, and before I pass it along to you, here's what I'm going to say. I think a lot of people think it's a done deal that it's going to be Auburn.
It's
I'm not of
not.
It's not. I'm not of that mindset, and I'll let you take it. And the reason I'm simply going to say that is because Auburn can be inconsistent. Auburn can beat Auburn.
Yep.
And here's what I will remind people. March Madness, NCAA, when you get to this point, it's about guards. And Clayton Jr., whoo, that brother is special.
Yep.
Um, and he is a takeover guard in the mold of what's her boy that played for the Hornets that went to UConn?
Kemba Walker.
Kemba Walker. I'm seeing it again with Clayton Jr.
Yeah,
That's
tough.
kind of what I'm seeing. Um, Different kind of ball player, but I'm saying a dude who has been taking over.
Yep.
So Auburn better be careful. Because he's that guy right now.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna quit talking, let you let you give your take and give me your thoughts about that game.
Oh no, you're good. And I completely agree. I'll be honest. My pick is Auburn, but it's all riding on if Broom, their center, is able to play. Because
Mhm.
against Michigan State, he got hurt. He hurt his elbow and he rolled his ankle. He came back and
That was
finished.
a weird,
Yeah, it was weird. Like hurting
yeah,
both at the same time, but it's like he
yes.
came back, but he didn't look like himself. And then to your point, when he was not on the floor, they couldn't score. They literally
That's
went
right.
like 0 for 9 when he was not on the floor.
Yep,
But here's what I'm gonna say because Florida has really dominant bigs as well. Pause on that.
they do.
But if Broom doesn't play or if he's not 100%, they can take advantage of that. And if he's not scoring, they're not gonna get a lot of their offense from their guards. And to your point, Florida has tremendous guard play.
Yes.
So my pick is Auburn just because I'm going into the game with the mindset that Broom will play. He'll be 100%. He'll be good to go. But if he's compromised in any capacity, I'm telling you, I think Florida wins that game. To your point, so I think that's going to be a really fun matchup as well. I think and I was thinking about this. This is the first time in years where like all four number one seeds are in the Final Four. Like that's crazy.
Yes. Yes. I think to your point, yeah, if Broom doesn't play, it's or is not 100%,
Yeah, it's
it's
a
gonna be
wrap.
a problem. It's yeah, because what's his name? Hauk? Thomas Hauk?
Yeah, he's tough. He's tough.
Brother. That is the ultimate stretch big.
Cause
Um,
Broom's he's averaging a double double. Like even against Michigan State, he had a double double at halftime. And I'm like, if
yeah,
they're not getting that, or he's not fully playing up to that type of level, I don't know where they're gonna get their other scoring from. Like their guards
never.
are good, but their guards
They're
aren't gonna
not that
go out there
good.
and give you 20. That's just not
No.
that's not how they play. So
Nope.
it's
I
it's gonna
agree.
be interesting.
It will be. So I'm with you. I'm based on, Broom's
Availability,
availability.
yeah.
And even if he's available, how well how if he's compromised.
Yeah.
I guess that's the best way to put it. Um, so I'm gonna choose Auburn, but with the caveat, it's according to how he's playing.
Yeah.
Because I'm just telling you, man, after seeing Houck do what he did, and then Clayton Jr., that brother's special.
Yeah,
I'm
he's
telling
tough.
you, he's tough. As you would say, he's tough.
He's tough.
Um, he's tough. So I'm picking Auburn, but I'm not going to be surprised if Florida pulls it off. And ultimately, we agree that it could be Duke. But if it were Duke and Florida in the championship,
I wouldn't be
mm,
mad.
I wouldn't be mad, and I might rethink some things.
Yeah, that'd be a
I'm just
great game.
It'd be a great game. I'm just saying. So, well, obviously, today is our Final Four edition. We've covered now the women's Final Four, the men's Final Four, but there's another four that we wanted to talk about, and that's the fourth seed in the West. And that was solidified earlier this week by the Los Angeles Lakers. And I'm just going to say this very quickly because there's some folks pontificating about, oh, the Lakers are in trouble. They're getting ready to go on their stretch. And I expect them to lose 5 out of 6. You know who you are. We know who you are. So far, they're 2-0. I'm not boasting. I'm not gloating. I'm just spitting facts. The
And it's
Lakers are
been
2-0.
against two teams that are in the top five in the West.
That's exactly right. So the last night, the win against Houston was huge.
Yep.
Because I'm gonna just be honest with you, that is a very quick
No
and
one,
athletic team.
no one wants to play them come playoff time. I know they're
Nobody
young,
wants to play.
but it's like they're
Yes,
playing with house money. They have
yes,
nothing to lose.
that's right. So listen, you and I had this conversation. I think one day it was a kind of an aside conversation about them kind of reminding of us of OKC when they were
Yeah.
young, so young that they didn't realize how good they were.
Yep.
That's who Houston kind of reminds me of, but they don't have their KD yet.
And it's funny you
Um,
mentioned OKC because I was just about to say, let them mess around this offseason and get Kevin Durant. Lord have mercy. I promise you, them and the Thunder will be neck and neck for 60 plus wins next year in the West. I promise you that. If Ime Udoka can have Kevin Durant on that Rockets team with
hmm,
Amen, Lord, with that Thompson monster, oh my
oh
goodness,
my goodness, that
that's
would feed
that
families.
Sengun monster, that Jalen Green, oh my
That Jalen
goodness,
Green monster.
they.
Oh my goodness, brother, my brother.
Ooh. I'm
Yeah,
just
that would
telling
be
you though,
frightening.
I don't want to play the Rockets right now, and Lord knows if
No,
they can mess around and get Kevin Durant, that's tough.
boy. And see, look, that's a good ball right there
Yeah, that's
because you've
good
been
ball.
talking about, as a GM, if Houston were smart, because we know Kevin Durant is not going to be in Phoenix
Oh
next
yeah,
year.
he's out. Phoenix
It's a wrap.
stinks.
Yes, they stink. What's old boy? The coach's name? I always
Budenholzer,
forget it.
him and KD been
Budenholzer.
button heads the whole year. It's not a good look over
Yes.
there.
Nah, it's not a
Mm-mm.
good look. So if the Rockets were smart, and listen, you've got some assets.
Trust what
Um,
people don't realize is they made a trade closer towards the deadline. They got some of the picks from Phoenix and Brooklyn. People forget
oh,
about that.
I
Like
forgot about
some of
that.
those picks that were used in the Mikal Bridges trade to acquire KD, the Rockets have those picks. Those are coveted picks.
That's interesting.
So it's like
That's
Phoenix could literally try to do something where they do a sign and trade. KD goes to the Rockets, and then they get the pick back that they ultimately traded to get Kevin Durant. If they
hmm.
want to take that route, so there's plenty of options.
Yeah, that's hadn't thought about that,
And the
Jameson.
Rockets have set
That's
themselves up. I'm telling, and people got to remember, Ime Udoka was an assistant coach in OKC when KD was there. They have a strong relationship. It's good ball,
hmm, that's very good ball.
and no state
Um,
income tax. Come on now.
oh my goodness, you might need to call the Houston GM. Excuse me, better yet, the Houston GM may need to call you.
Facts.
Yeah, that would be insane.
Yeah.
Um, so getting back to
Yeah, the
the
Lakers.
other four that we talked about, the Lakers they solidified their fourth seed. I mean, obviously they need to keep winning, but by beating Memphis, they definitely have the tiebreaker over them now.
Yeah.
That was a good win last night. Um, and LeBron is getting his legs back. Everybody's talking about, oh, we're finally there. We're finally at the place. No, no, we're not.
Why are people still
Um,
doing that down LeBron
I,
before playoff time? It's like,
it
bro,
makes no sense.
I don't get it.
It makes absolutely no sense. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on that. The fact that the Lakers, these two games, it is their toughest stretch of games.
Yeah.
They're playing teams that have winning records. They've already beat Memphis, who was neck and neck with them for the fourth seed. They just beat the Houston Rockets last night. What are you seeing?
Here's what I'm gonna say. Of course, it's not ideal to be playing this type of stretch of games towards the end of the season, but it's also a blessing in disguise because I feel like you know these are the type of games and matchups you're gonna have come playoff time. I'd rather go ahead and play the Rockets, the Nuggets, the Grizzlies, the Warriors, teams like that I'm potentially gonna face in those early rounds now. Get a feel for them. JJ Redick is a basketball savant. It's like you rather play those teams now, be able to see what lineups work, what lineups don't work. How do we want to defend this player? How do we want to defend this team? As opposed to playing teams like the Spurs and Pelicans that are playing for absolutely nothing. Like I rather play tougher opponents towards the end of the season because that also gets you more prepared for the playoffs. And then think about it from like you said, from LeBron's perspective, he's just getting back from injury. Rui's just getting back from injury. What better way to get back in the swing of things and to play really good teams as you're potentially going to see in a couple of weeks when the playoffs start. So, and like you said, to your point, we've already shown we're 2-0 against those teams. We beat the Rockets, we beat the Grizzlies, and then we're about to play the Warriors in a couple of days on Thursday. So if we win that game, it's like I feel like we're clicking at the right time, and that's really what playoff basketball boils down to. Who has it clicking at the right time?
I completely agree.
Mm-hmm.
I like the fact that you're saying, yeah, let's play the harder teams now, because what that does is gives you a look at them, first of all, and it also builds momentum. It lets you tweak. Okay, we didn't do so well on this with this team. Here's what we need to adjust when we play this particular team. Because again, it's a 7 game series. So it's literally about matchups every night, and
Yep.
it's about how you can take advantage of where the matchups are, the
And
best
adjustments.
matchups and adjustments.
Yep.
That's exactly right.
Yes,
So
sir.
I'm with you there. It's just like in the NCAA. A lot
Yeah.
of times people will say it's the team that's playing the best down the stretch.
Yep.
And you don't play your best basketball down the stretch if you're playing, teams that aren't very good. I mean,
Exactly.
you can play your best basketball, but that doesn't mean it's tested
But to your
basketball.
point, it's hard to go from, oh, we just beat the Spurs by 20 when they don't have Wemby, they don't have De'Aaron Fox, and then, oh, we have to play the Rockets in the first round, or we got to play
Right.
the Timberwolves. It's like that's hard. Like that's
Yes.
that's a that's two totally different teams, and it's like you said, one's playing for the playoffs, one's playing for a draft pick. You get what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So
I mean, like you said, you playing the Pelicans. They've already shut Zion down
yeah,
for the
and
season.
CJ McCollum, I saw that.
And McCollum, exactly. I'm like, so no, it doesn't do us any good to play a
No.
team like the Pelicans. To be honest with you, those are the teams you don't want to play because now you got the young cats coming in there trying to show and prove.
Yep.
And it's like these dudes might look, they might hurt us. They might run us out of the gym because they've
Exactly.
got fresh legs.
Yep.
Hadn't played all season. So
Facts.
those are not the teams you want to play. And you risk injury playing teams that whether you beat them or not, it doesn't matter.
Yep. Exactly.
You know? So cool. Well, we're going to wrap up this week's podcast with what we always do, and that's moving the needle. Jameson, do you have your moving the needle for the week?
Yeah, mine is actually Olivia Miles from Notre Dame. Well, I say ex Notre Dame because I don't know if you saw, she was actually the projected number 2 pick in this upcoming year's WNBA draft, but she's decided to forego the WNBA draft. She's decided to forego going back to Notre Dame, which was wild to me. But she's also, put her name. She's entered the transfer portal. And I think what this shows is the WNBA still has some work to do because the fact that someone of her talent is deciding to forego going to the WNBA and going back to college, I know part of it might be because, like you just said, I mean, like I just said, she's able to, now enter her name in the transfer portal, kind of pick where she wants to go. But I know part of it is she's about to make over $1 million in NIL money.
Yep.
If she goes
And
to
that
the
CBA is coming too with the WNBA.
yep, and
That's
if
the
she
other
goes to
part.
the WNBA right now, she would probably make max $70,000, 75,000. So it's like she's potentially leaving over $900,000 on the table if
Yeah.
she decided to go play in the WNBA, which is the professional league, by the way. So it's like as much as the WNBA is, continuing to grow, they still got to figure out how they can pay these players more. Like it's a crying shame when somebody of that much talent wants to still stay an extra year in college, risk injury. You never know what can happen to
That's
get
true.
more money. And I even put into perspective, a lot of like even with the unrivaled basketball league, they're able to pay these players more to play half a season
Yep.
compared to and it was 3-on-3 format. It's like, bruh, WNBA got to do something, but that was just moving the needle for me because I'm like, I'm also really intrigued to see where she ends up now. That's my big
Yeah.
thing. Like,
That's
that's
that's the
insane.
crazy part to me. The fact that, yeah, I get it that she's staying another year, but the fact that she decided to transfer,
Yeah, she's
um,
22.
that's insane. I don't know where she's gonna
Hey,
go, but
Courtney
if she
Banghart, pick up that phone, Shawty.
thank you. I'm serious. Like,
Why
bruh,
not? Why not?
why not? Absolutely. Hey, same league, both in the ACC.
Hey, Dad,
Hey,
I'm gonna take it a step further. Hubert Davis, pick up that phone, brother.
thank you. Listen, speaking of, that's my moving the needle
Hey,
for this
Hugh,
week.
pick that phone up, buddy.
I mean, come on, brother. Listen, you and Jim Tanner need to get to dialing.
I'm telling you,
Um,
man.
that's my moving the needle this week. It's the transfer portal specifically for the Tar Heels. Elliot Cadeau decided to enter the transfer portal, got just committed to Michigan. Um, and so, it'll be interesting to see because there are lots of players. There are still even more being
Yeah,
talked
enter
about
their name. Yeah,
more names that just came through. And so folks are panicking. I'm not going to panic just yet because I'm beginning to see a plan based on what I'm hearing
yeah,
and based on what I'm seeing. Now, what we've heard is Carolina's contacted or Carolina's in contact with this, Carolina's in contact with this person, that person. But everybody that has been leaked that Carolina's been in contact with as of late, those folks are committing somewhere else.
exactly. They
So
gotta
I
close the
think
deal.
exactly. So I think to your point, what contact means is, are y'all just calling folks?
Yeah, facts. You need
Um,
to actually put pen to paper and get something done.
exactly. So But the names that are floating around that are associated with Carolina, and it seems as though Carolina really has a strong shot at landing them, I'm starting to see some things take shape.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing that I will say. It's not like Dixon. Um, oh man, I just lost his name. Dennis.
Yeah.
Yes, Dixon and Dennis aren't high caliber basketball players. Like Dixon has the potential to be, and I'm not comparing him by any means, but I'm saying the type of the circumstance. It really could be, kind of a Marcus Page type scenario
Yeah.
where as a freshman he actually gets good minutes because here's what I know about him. Dude can flat out shoot. He actually knows how to run an offense, and he doesn't turn the ball over, at least at the high school level. We know that there's an adjustment once you get to
Well,
college.
I'm gonna stop you
But
there. That was the only problems from our guard spot, Ellie Cadeau
thank you.
included, turning the ball over and you couldn't shoot. So that already
Exactly.
solves two of our problems right there.
This brother can shoot, and he doesn't turn the ball over. When I say he can shoot, this brother can shoot.
Oh yeah, I
So
just hope it translates to the college game because we know how that
I agree.
goes.
I do. I do. But he was always a better shooter than Cadeau
Yeah,
was,
yeah.
even coming out of high
Even high
school.
school, yeah.
That's yeah. So it'll be interesting to see. I think some dominoes will start to fall later this week, and I think that Carolina fans will start to see things take shape, and we'll be in a better place because there's panicking, man. If you look at social media, it is literally panic
Oh
city
yeah, yeah,
every single day.
definitely.
So, cool. Well, that's my moving the needle. That's gonna wrap up this week's edition. Again, our Final Four edition of the J and J podcast. Appreciate everybody listening in. Same next week. Same